the Enoch that we have today is not written by one author. It's written by at least 4 authors. And the quote-unquote quote in Jude is not a quote from anything that we have today.
Correct. I just have to reply, yes, fake news. That was great, Suzanne. Let's talk about that. Okay, so both you already read the Sefer HaYashar. It says, as is written, ketuvah is the word, ketuvah, in Sefer HaYashar, is written. So it was a sefer. A sefer in the ancient world is just something that has writing on it. It could be a scroll. It could be, technically a piece of wood, that's smooth, that's got in great, could be a sefer. It just means something that's got been inscribed with information.
But that's not what Jude says.
But it says, no, wait a minute. So Yashar was written. But again, let's point out, it's different than the book now being sold as Jasher. Enoch, he's all over. Well, actually, Enoch's only like in Genesis 5 and once in First Chronicles, right? Mm-hmm. There's Enoch who's son of Cain. This is a different Enoch, but it's the same word, Hanok. He's mentioned in Genesis 5, once in First Chronicles, right, as part of the genealogy. Because remember, Adam, right? It is the first word of First Chronicles. It goes through just the list of names. So Enoch's there. And then that is also in Luke chapter 3, right? Luke also gives from Adam. And so he goes through Enoch. But that's it for Enoch. So we know he's an authoritative figure until we get to Hebrews and Jude, right? So Hebrews 11 talks about Enoch and his faith and actually quotes Genesis 5. So Enoch in the first century was understood from the Bible, from the Torah itself, and from the history in First Chronicles, was a hero. He was like a mighty man of faith, and that's why he's in Hebrews 11. He's an ancient, authoritative figure, biblical figure. So no one's arguing about that. And as a matter of fact, Hebrews clearly puts him right after, Abel, Enoch, Noah, Abraham. So we're not contesting that Enoch was an authority. And we have in Jude, now we'll get to our Jude passage. But notice how Jude introduces, he doesn't say it is written. He doesn't say it as it is written in Enoch, the Book of Enoch. He doesn't use anything similar to what the quote for Sefer HaYashar is, as it is written in the book of, is it not written in the book of Jashar, or it is written. Nothing like that. He just says he prophesied saying, and then he just has this one line. So what we have here then is what we would call an oral tradition. This is not oral Torah of later rabbis. It's just an oral tradition that Enoch's name was associated with the preaching of judgment to come of sinners, which is really a call to repentance. I mean, that's what before the flood, right? And that the Lord would be coming to execute judgment. So all Jude is doing is saying this message of the Lord coming with thousands of his saints to execute judgment upon ungodly is a core, in a way, a gospel message in a little nut, right, in a little acorn that goes all the way back to Enoch, that's been associated with him. That's all that's happening in Jude 14. We do not know whether Jude had a book of Enoch. We don't know. He's not referring to a book. Why do we have the authority to demand people think that Jude is quoting from a book? What we do have is that he just says he says this. We don't know if Jude learned this through hearing it or if he ever read it. We don't have information. What we do have, though, are existing book fragments from the book of Enoch, First Enoch, chapter 1, from later times that when we put next to Jude, we can look and go, okay, they're very similar. They're very similar. The earliest we have, aside from Jude, let's put it this way. Jude is the oldest
witness
yeah. to this thing of Enoch.
Yeah.
This particular thing of Enoch. We have older witnesses in the Dead Sea Scrolls of other things called Enoch. But I'll share you, I pulled it up in accordance. Just the fragment, if anybody wants to research this, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it's called 4Q204. 4Q204. What that means is it's cave 4. So the 4 means it was cave number 4. Because remember, there's cave 1, cave 11, right? There's cave 4. So it was found there. Q means Qumran. Cave 4 at Qumran, because there's other places too in the Judean desert. So this is the code word that the scholars who are in the 50s and 60s, are trying to organize all these fragments.
Sure.
4Q, and then number 204, fragment number 204. So they already have it classified before they even talk about its content and start dating it. They have a classification. So it's like, okay, 4Q204. Some call it 4Q Aramaic Enoch or something like that because it's in Aramaic. But this is all we have of his holy ones. And his you don't even see. So it's really just holy ones. Flesh for blank deed. So it's probably all flesh for their wicked deeds, but all we have is part of the word of flesh and then for deeds. But we don't even know that deeds is plural, so it's just deed. And then we have great and harsh. That's it. Everything else, if you find anybody online that's telling you what the Aramaic Enoch has, and they give you more than that, they are filling in what they're filling in a bunch of stuff that they don't know.
That's awesome.
Okay, and that's the oldest. So that might be an older. If this fragment that is 4Q204 that is called Aramaic Enoch is indeed from Enoch chapter 1 that we learned from the later, Ethiopic, which is way later. Then we could say, okay, well, we have these tiny little puzzle pieces. It would be like a 1,000-piece puzzle, and we have like a fragment, here, and then we're going to try to tell what the whole picture is. Well, The rest of that picture is a projection on knowledge that really doesn't come on the scene historically till way later. So when I say, and Caleb, when I say that, Jude has the earliest witness of the full quote, that to our knowledge, that we believe to be true. That's the earliest full textual witness that we have to someone recording and associating this message of the Lord coming with saints or holy ones to execute judgment on the ungodly. Finds its first codification in writing in history that we know of is in its fullness is here. And he doesn't present it as it is written. To me, that's significant. He's just making the point that the urgency of judgment is coming. I mean, it's the kingdom of heaven is at hand, right?